Hey everybody, this is Coinroll Hunter here, and I've got a box of nickels. I usually get pretty excited about that. There's a couple of things about this box that are a little suspicious, so before I get too excited, we're going to want to take a closer look. Stay tuned. Hi everybody, this is James, and you're watching my channel, Coinroll Hunter. That's right, I got a box of nickels, but a couple things I'm a little leery of. First of all, you can see now it's been sealed up by a bank. Now, a couple things. One thing is that these stickers might be quite old. So TD is Toronto Dominion Bank. That's now TD Canada Trust. So I don't know when these stickers are for, but somebody's placed them on here. I think this here is the initials of a teller. It's the same initials over here on the bank stamp. And but we've got some other writing on here. We've got a line across the top. I had to cut the tape. And when I went to go and look at some of these rolls, I saw the telltale black line of a coin roll hunter. So now we don't know if this box has actually been hunted or not. We don't know if this roll was marked last week or last year. We don't know. So we're going to have to get in. This could be a really boring hunt, or who knows. The only way we're going to know for sure is if we get into these rolls. And I haven't looked beyond just the top, and I don't see anything crazy on the top here. Except I do see like an older Elizabeth, so there might be some nickel in here. We'll find out when we get into this box. If you're a longtime viewer, you know that we are filling this Lighthouse Vista Nickel Album. This is actually our 14th episode of our nickel hunt and fill, and we are doing really well. So in case you're new, of course, we actually found one nickel in the 20s in 1929. That is amazing. We've done really well with this album, but we still have lots of holes to fill. 38, of course. We got a bunch in the 40s and the 50s that we don't have yet, so we certainly want to find those. And other ones like the 64 extra waterline we haven't got. Otherwise, much of this album is looking really good. There are some NIFCs that we're not likely to get, but you never know. That's what coin roll hunting is all about. So we're going to get in these rolls and see if we can fill some spots, maybe upgrade some spots on our way to filling this Lighthouse Vista Nickel album. Roll number one, a couple of quick observations. First of all, I found a couple nickel composed nickels, a 79 and an 80 in here. So we know that somebody hasn't stripped all the nickel out, or at least not in that roll. And we also found a 2021, which also means that this isn't a box that was sealed up 10, 15 years ago when it was still TD Bank. So it looks like we might have a hunt here, and some of these markings and stickers just might be old. This box looks a little ratty, so maybe it's been around for a while. These things get used and reused and reused. Still in roll number one, we have a 1996 here. We definitely want to check that to see if we've got that attached 6. Let's take a peek. All right, there it is. And it doesn't have that die chip attaching the D and the 6. This looks like it is the far 6. The D and the 6 aren't very close together. There's a couple variations, the far 6 and the near 6. Those are the ones you're looking for. But particularly that attached 6, that die chip is really cool. And we found one before. Same roll. We're going to have our first find of the hunt. It is a pretty damaged looking American. We'll flip it over and see. It's got some crazy toning on it. That's a 1999 Denver. And you can see the one that it was probably sitting close to for a long time also exhibits some crazy toning. And right behind those stained coins, we got our first laureate portrait find, a 1964 here. We'll flip that over and we can see that portrait of Queen Elizabeth. And of course, we can look to see if this is the extra waterline. It doesn't look to be, but let's take a closer look and see. All right, there it is. It doesn't have that extra die crack we might see by the designer's initials. And the designer's initials look a little different here. They look a little wide, but I think that's just damage. So we got to keep on looking for that 1964 extra waterline. It's out there. We're already in roll number 5. I've got a 1990 under the scope. We want to take a closer look here and see if we could possibly have a bare belly, and we'll slide it down, and we don't. But we want to look here to see if there's an over-polished die that takes away this detail. Not on this guy. Roll 7, we got another laureate portrait. Some scratches on the obverse, really common for coins of this era, often from vending machines and such. This one is another 1964 Very into that roll, we got a 1965, and we definitely want to check this to see if we've got the super rare large bead. We'll throw it under the scope. What we want to see, of course, is if there is a large bead lined up right between these two eyes. And there isn't. We've got a small bead here, kind of a gap. So that's the very common one. It's in terrible condition. It's just going right into the nickel cup. But we want to find a large bead because that would be incredibly cool and incredibly valuable. Roll number 10, and we can see an older obverse peeking out there. There's another laureate portrait just sitting there. And this one is, again, a 1964. The most common one we're likely to find in the laureate portrait years. Very high mintage, but it's still cool to find them. And I pull them all out because I like finding the older coins, these older busts of the rulers, just something you don't see every day. Roll number 5, we got another find, but all we're finding looks to be 1964s, and this one looks pretty decent. And again, no extra water line, but we'll add that to our growing stack. This is our 4th 1964, our only laureate portrait find. Hopefully we find some others, and some King George VI would be nice. Well, I guess ask and ye shall receive. 1963, same roll, just a little bit behind that. So we found another one that wasn't a 1964. Roll number 13, and look at this 1980 in this roll. This could be an upgrader. That looks like it's fresh from the mint. We'll flip it over and see how the obverse looks. That is a very clean coin. So we'll set that aside. One of the things we can look for in a 1980 is a double date. I think it's a die deterioration. We may as well look at this because this looks like a really clean coin, but I don't see it from the eye, but everything on the coin on the date should look wider if it's a Y date. Let's take a peek. So first of all, you can see how clean everything looks. The fields are really almost flawless. That is a beautiful looking coin. And that date looks flawless too. I don't think we've got any kind of double date there, but we'll set this aside because this could very well be an upgrader in the album. I'm not sure. I think we've got a lot of great coins, but this would rival what we got in there. And speaking of gorgeous coins with clean fields, look at this laureate portrait that we have here. Looks really nice. Let's flip it over. That is a 1964, and that would have been an awesome one to be an extra waterline in that kind of condition, but we'll take it. We'll definitely take it. Very end of roll number 15, and we're going to have another laureate portrait, another 1963. Well, just at the end of roll number 17, and we got something really interesting here. I don't think this is a mint error. I think this is just damage, but you can see the edge of that coin is damaged in some way. And it looks to have some kind of crud on the side, which suggests that it might have been clipped and maybe also burnt by something. So an interesting find, but probably not a mint error, probably post-mint damage, as we say, PMD. Just cracked into roll 18. And we got another one. It's another 1964. And it's kind of gunky, but it's a 1964. Roll number 19, we've got another 1963. We just need to manifest that King George VI or King George V. If we could find one, those would be incredible. Roll 23 is going to have our 10th laureate portrait, and it's another 1963. Everything we've gotten so far is just a 63 or a 64. We really want to find something different. Roll 25, we've got a pretty beat up 1977, but it's one of two varieties you can find. This is the low 7. So look at that 7 on the right is lower than the 7 on the left. So there's a low 7 and a high 7. You can find them both. Roll 26, we found a pretty nice looking 90s, early 2000s. When I flip it over, it's a low mintage 1991. That's a great find in really nice shape. Roll 31, and we have found a gorgeous 2022. I believe this is my first 2022 nickel. We'll see if we find any more. This one actually looks picture perfect, so that's fantastic. Roll 32, judging by the smooth edge, it's going to be another 63 or 64. It doesn't have the 12-sided edge. This one is a 63. Roll number 36, It's not a laureate portrait, but it's a 60s Canadian, and look at how bright and shiny this one is. Really nice looking 1960 side. We'll set it aside, see if it might upgrade our album. Roll number 40, and it's another, yeah, you guessed it, 1964, adding to our stack of 64s and 63s. Roll number 41, what's it gonna be? Another 64 with a bit of the ring of death on it. Roll 43, we got a nice looking 1990, but we got to take a closer look and see if we've got our bare-bellied friend. All right, we got it under the scope, and I don't think I could count this as a bare belly really, but I think we can see the earliest stage of that dye deterioration here. I might set it aside. I wouldn't call this a significant find, but a real bare belly, most of this fur in this whole area will all be gone, and sometimes over here as well. And we can sort of see a little bit of a horizontal line here that might just be sort of the top of this mound, I guess, but close but no cigar. So we are all the way in roll number 50, and we're finally actually going to have something other than a 1963 or 1964. I see a 12-sided edge there, so there's a chance we've got a George VI that might be an early Elizabeth. We got to get in the roll to find out. Well, we didn't even get far back to find that yet. And we got ourselves a George in the roll. It's got some damage on it, but this could fill a spot in the album. We got to see what it is. It is a 1941, so we'll have to see. But somebody's obviously taken the clips to it, so it's got some damage. But we need some George VI in the album, so we'll hold on to that. That's a great find. In any case, maybe there's something else in this roll too. And there is about 5 or 6 coins back. Look at this gleaming 1968. Flip it over. That is a gorgeous one. That could absolutely be an upgrader in the album. We'll hold on to that. Nothing like saving the best for last here. So our 12-sided edge isn't going to be anything old. It's a 1962, but let's throw it up under the scope and see if we've got any doubling on that too. That's a variety we can look for. All right, we got that 62 under the scope, and this is actually pretty cool because I think we have found the 1962 double date. So the two things we're looking at is the base of the 2 here. You can see that line across the bottom, that doubling there, and at the base of the 1. I've got a picture for reference here from the Coins in Canada website. You can see that, the same doubling at the base of the 2 and the base of the 1. Essentially what I've learned in my quick research is that this was due to the dies being re-engraved. So these marks are left over from that process. So this isn't perhaps exceptionally rare, but it certainly has a premium. This one's in pretty circulated condition, but that's pretty awesome. In our last roll, we got a King George VI and a variety, a 1962 double date. Okay, we've completed that hunt. 50 rolls of custom wrapped nickels hunted. We didn't get a lot of finds, but we did find some cool stuff. So we'll just start up at the top here. Only one American. That's actually a record for my channel to only have one US nickel. My previous low was 3. That's just the way it goes sometimes. We got this 2007 we looked at. I think that's just post-mint damage. It's not a mint error. That would have been really cool, but it was something in the miscellaneous category to look at. We got some really nice ones here. That 1966, we'll have a look at. This 68 is almost flawless. There's one little line on the right there, but that very well could be an upgrader. We also got a really nice 1980. We got that 1990 that's maybe an almoster. It's not a complete bare belly for sure. It's got a little bit of maybe the very beginning of the dye deterioration, but I don't think we could consider that a bare belly. We've seen some far more extreme examples, and they're out there. We got a low mint 1991. We got a bunch of laureate portrait. We got 8 1964s, and in the 1963s, it looks like we got 5 of those. We also got that 1962 double date, the only 12-sided laureate portrait. And we found a 1941. We got a King George VI in the box. It's got some damage, but we'll take a look at our album and see if we need that. And we got our very first 2022, I think. We'll have to check and make sure we haven't already slotted a 2022 in, but look at that, brand new. It's the only one we found. It looks like it's flawless. So we'll take a look at the album and see if we managed to eke out an addition or an upgrade from this box. So we managed additions and upgrades in this album. So I replaced that 1941, even though it's got some damage. The one we had was that one with the hole in it. So we'll hold on to that. That's pretty neat. But we've got a better version in our album. And we, of course, still have some slots to fill. So lots of fun in store for us, I'm sure. I added that 1962. So you remember we had some extra ones that didn't have slots, right? So we've put that 62. There's a spot for a 62, but no 62 double date. So we've added that in our album. And we have absolutely upgraded. That 68 was just gorgeous. So we've improved this album for sure. We still got some work to do in the early years, but in the later years, this album is looking really good. That 66 didn't upgrade, the 80 didn't upgrade. We had really good examples already. So where we sit, and I don't know if I actually miscounted. I was saying previously we were at 83 of 117 spots, but it looks like we actually had 118 spots. Where we sit now is 84 of 119. I'm adding a spot for a mistake and adding a spot because we added the 2022. We didn't count that spot initially because we started this before this year started. So we have 84 of 119 spots filled, plus the extra 5 that we have on this page that didn't have a spot, like the high 7, low 7 variation. There's a 2006 that didn't have a spot. We've got that 62 double date, a bare belly. And our 1996, there's a near 6 and a far 6. The other one, of course, we found that isn't in here, I flipped it up, was our really, really cool 1996 far 6 attached 6 with the crown on beaver die clash. I flipped that up to keep that safe. But this album is looking great, so I hope you enjoyed this video and you're enjoying this Nickel Hunting album fill series. Please give the video a like, a thumbs up. I'd appreciate that. And of course, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe. I've got new videos coming out all the time. That way you can find out what I've got coming out. You won't miss a thing. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again next time.